morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jen Fortman with Relationship Matters. I hope everyone is having a beautiful morning, or afternoon, or evening. Well, you know what? I don't have a soapbox to get on because usually I'm on my COVID box. Uh, uh, However, what I will say this is that it is still October and it is still Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'm urging you, ladies out there, and men also, really, because breast cancer can also attack men. Have your mammograms, ladies. And men, if there's a woman in your life and she hasn't had her mammogram, urge her to get hers. But even anyway, ask her, has she had her mammogram? Because this is something that we want to wipe out. Well, let's get on with the show with Relationship Matters. I met this young lady in Houston, Texas at a week-long networking event, conference, and she just impressed me so that I told her then, we have to keep up this relationship. Now, you know how sometimes you go places, you go to workshops, you go to conferences, meetings, whatever, and you meet people and you just say, oh, yeah, well, we got to stay in touch. And you really don't. But we had to stay in touch. So let me tell you, before I bring her on, let me tell you a little bit about Valessa. She owns her own private practice, and it's called Go Core Mind Soul LLC. She's a certified trauma and resilience expert. She's an author, a keynote speaker, and she's a consultant. And what she does, she helps her clients achieve extraordinary levels of success by discovering their core power. And we're going to talk about that core power. She's a sought after, a very much sought after consultant to business leaders, to professionals, executives, veterans, and she has a font of wisdom in positive core transformation. And guess what? She's a veteran, an Air Force veteran, and she served in Iraq. So I've got to bring her on. I'm so happy to have her here with me today. Hey, Melissa.
Hello, Dr. J. How are you?
I'm just great. How are you?
I am wonderful and thank you for inviting me on your show today.
Well, you know what? First of all, we want to thank you for your service to our country.
You're welcome.
And wait, when you sent me your bio, I didn't see that in there. And so I said, let me go on her site. And I saw that. I'm like, what? Oh my God. Oh my
Yes.
God. Well, we're going to get into that a little later.
Okay.
But now, where are you located? Where are you right now?
Right now, I reside in Frisco, Texas, near Dallas area.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was born in Dallas.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and we go back there every now and then. I used to go back there for family reunions, but every now and then. But I have relatives there.
Oh, cool.
So you're located in Dallas, where I hope it's warm. But you
Yes,
know
it is.
what? I said I wasn't going to start off with the military, but I am. Why did you decide to join the military?
Well, that's a great question. Coming from a small town of Greenville, Mississippi, me and my husband decided that we wanted to get away from a small town. So he went into the Army for 4 years, and he did intel in the Army, and then he only did 4. And then he said, okay, now it's your turn. You're either going to do the Air Force or the Navy. And I
Oh,
decided to do the Air Force.
really?
Yes, and I ended up
Isn't it
serving.
hard? Isn't it difficult, really, to get into the Air Force?
That's what everybody says. I just went in there and said and took the test. I passed. I
Okay.
was able to. I went into actually I was a security forces, and then I end up reclassing into transportation, which is logistics. So that was the one of the best things that ever happened to me.
So logistics, exactly what is that? What did you have to do?
Okay, well, logistics is that all goes into moving your personal belongings, transportation.
Okay.
That's all dealing with the logistical piece, and especially when you're deploying, you have to have your weapons. You have to
Okay.
have your meals. You have to know the location that you're going. So those are all logistics that we have to prepare individuals, even civilians, when they're relocating. That's a logistics piece that we have to prepare for. So you can't do
Oh,
anything without logistics. We are the key to the puzzle.
okay. So did you ever want to be a pilot?
Everybody always asks me that. No, Air Force is not about,
You're not
it's
just
about
okay.
flying, but we do have different missions to include medical, uh, transportation, as I say, security forces. It's so many different fields that you can be able to come in besides a pilot.
Okay. So how long did you serve?
I served 22 years.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness. So
Yes. I'll
you
give I'll give you a quick story about that.
okay.
I went to my recruiter and he goes, "Okay, you haven't been accepted in the Air Force. There's one thing you got to do, you just got to keep your mouth shut."
Okay.
Because I'm very open and opinionated as far as in making sure I let people know how I feel. Of course, in a nice manner.
Uh-huh.
But I did that. And I thought I was going to do 2 months, and I ended up doing 22 years.
Wait a minute. 2 months.
I thought I was gonna do 2 months. I was like, I can't do it. I can't. I was calling my grandmother, Mom, come here. I can't make it. I can't make it. I can only do 2 months. And she say, stay with it, baby. Stay with it. You got this. And I
Okay.
end up doing 22 years.
Wow. Wow. That's really really something. And it said here in your bio about running multi-million dollar projects and sister services. Now, what is that?
Sister services are other branches of the service. You got your Marines,
Okay.
different other branches. We call them sister services.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. And it says including public speaking, life coaching, and so did you do any of that while you were in the service?
Actually, I did
Okay.
public speaking. That I did that, and I was a instructor as well at the 37 Training Wing, which is the number one training base in the Air Force. So I ended up becoming a instructor, and I taught people how to speak in public. I ended up doing a 6-week course on that. And I also was able to write courses and curriculum. So that's where my journey began of being public speaking, was the launch in my Air Force career.
Oh, okay. I see. And you are a outstanding, awesome public speaker. I have to say that. You,
Thank you.
I mean, really, and I really mean it. And also, I saw that where you are the first African American Iraq war veteran to do a TEDx talk. How did that come about?
Well, add that Juneteenth in there now.
At June, sorry, in Veracruz, Mexico. Okay, so tell us about that.
Oh, actually, this is so funny. It was where we were at. One
Oh,
of the gentlemen was in the audience and saw me speak.
oh,
And he asked me to come on as a speaker. And I told him no 3 times.
okay.
And then he's he came back and had an interpreter to come on. And
Hmm.
he said, the only thing you got to do is just show up. We got the rest. And I said, really? He said, yeah, just get your airline ticket and show up. We got the rest. And literally, it was one of the best experiences of my life. That is where I really connected to the core and allowing my faith to be the forefront of letting the world know how authentic I can be, sharing a powerful story.
So, what story did you share?
I shared resilience is the secret to my success.
Okay.
Mhm.
So tell us about it.
Okay, so the journey of my walk was that I was supposed to have an interpreter, but at the last minute, they couldn't do it. So I end up, you know how you just go over, you want to go over your speech and you can't. So I left my speech on the chair when I was getting ready to aboard the plane. So what I'm saying to you is everything was pulled from me, my speech. And then a lady, I shared my story when I got there to Mexico, and she said, we have similar stories. Let me take your phone and so I can videotape it for you. So long story short, was that I felt like God was taking everything away from me so I can share my story and just be authentic about everything. So what I end up doing is sharing my story. The story that I was approved by TEDx was not the story that I shared. So what I end up doing is sharing my story of how I overcame certain obstacles, such as my children that suffer from a mental illness. I was there to be their cheerleader. How I served 22 years in the United States Air Force, and I went back to my core to become resilient on the journey. I also talked about how it's important just to be kind and loving, and also to let them know that you can do anything that you want to do. And resilience is truly the backbone to adversity.
Okay, okay. So, what rank did you serve in the military?
I was a E7. That's the top three of the enlisted corps.
Okay.
We also call it a senior enlisted officer,
Mm-hmm.
and we also call it a master sergeant.
So, so now you are an African American woman, and you're in the Air Force. Tell me about your experiences. Was it? You think it was more difficult for you or easier for you?
I would say, see, I'm the type of person I can go into any situation and just be myself. As I said before, I can be opinionated, but also I can share with you how I'm feeling. So I've always had that gift of gab of just being able to communicate. And along my journey, starting out as no sleeves, meaning I worked my way all the way to the top with no rank to have becoming a senior enlisted executive in my Air Force career. So it's everything has its place. And I will say this, the people that did not serve me well, they made me more of a conqueror and a survivor throughout my journey. And matter of fact, I looked up at them because if it wasn't for them, I would not be who I am today.
Okay. And so, did you have special training? Uh, because I'm really interested in you worked your way up, and then you became a trainer as far as
Hmm.
teaching public speaking.
Hmm.
So I'm really curious. How did that come about? Did they just say to you, "Well, we need someone to train people in public speaking," or did you take courses? Or did how did that come about?
Okay, so let me walk you through a little bit of my journey. So I came
Okay.
in. no rank. But
Okay.
then I came in as a no strikes. But then when I said I signed in for it, well, really, I became transportation
Yeah.
personnel,
Yeah.
in which we talked about that. So
Yeah.
throughout my ranks, over so many periods of years, you'll get another rank. So
Okay.
with all that being said, I just made it all the way up to, as we say, enlisted E7.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but what they have in the Air Force, which most services do, they have what we call special duty assignments.
Okay.
So when I left McGuire Air Force Base, I worked for a general officer,
Hmm.
and he said, "Valessa, you're so articulate.
Okay.
I think you should become a teacher at the schoolhouse." So I end up becoming a teacher at the schoolhouse. So I end up teaching logistics, transportation. Once I got done with that, I end up going back to my career field. So that was a special duty assignment
Okay.
outside of what I did. Then I went back to logistics, transportation. And then after that, I decided, this would be another opportunity to go a little differently than my career field. So I chose to become what we call a basic instructor at the schoolhouse at Lackland Air Force Base.
Mm.
So I became an instructor. So I taught people how to speak in public. I was able to teach them how to write a lesson plan, how to, when you're up there, I would teach them how to not say us, or stock expressions. And the last thing I was able to do is turn a person from crying to wanting to get up on stage and talk.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Wait. And I had to chuckle when you said the and because I'm in Toastmasters, and the and the O's and the you knows are filler words, and my favorite one is so. And so and I said it. And when we have to uh, uh, evaluate each other, that's one of the reasons we evaluate, and we have what we call an counter, a grammarian, and then that person counts the ahs and the ums and the so's and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And when I did my first speech, I was the queen of ahs. I think in 7 minutes I had about 15 of them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I don't do my that was my soul. I don't do my ahs anymore, but it's hard for me to get rid of the soul. So I probably need your training. Yeah.
I would love to, Dr. J. I would love to.
And I must say, now after you got out of the service,
Hmm.
what did you do?
After I got out of the service, I had time to think.
Okay.
And when I said I had time to think, I ended up becoming a self published author. I
Oh,
started talking about my pain to paper, is what I called it. Because
okay.
I had, it was me at 13. So I suffered in silence for over 33 years, and I needed to get rid of that pain. So I became a self published author in 2017. The book is entitled Rape the Silencer, Good Girls Don't Tell It to Now, which
Oh,
includes a companionship to the workbook. And what I love about the workbook, which all of us at some point, some form of fashion have suffered in silence. And what I ask you, are you suffering in silence? And write that fearless letter to your abuser, read it out loud, and journal out your thoughts. And that's powerful.
oh my goodness. Yeah. So you turn your pain
Hmm.
actually into your passion, so to speak.
Yes,
As far, yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. All right. Okay. And okay, so now you wrote your book,
Uh huh.
and did you do public speaking based on your book? Did you, yeah, did
That's a great question. I did not do my public speaking about the book. I just did my public speaking about entrepreneurship, how to win in silence and still be a conqueror out loud. Those were some of my messages that I spoke about when I first started out.
uh-huh,
And it was really mental muscles for me, basically, because I had already got that foundation from my military career.
uh-huh.
So this I end up doing was using what I've already learned, and I put in motion to talk to people of what I've already learned from my military career. And I'm so grateful I served, because if I didn't serve, I wouldn't be the woman, the mother, and anyone else eh, that I'm just speechless, because I went from a little girl from a small town of Greenville, Mississippi. I traveled the world. I started off in Delaware, Colorado. I lived in Germany. I also lived in Korea. And what other? Yeah, so those are the main places. And I love diversity. So with my journey of my walk, I can truly say I've traveled the world. I met some amazing people. And from my military career, I had, and I still do, have some great mentors.
Okay, so you formed some really great relationships. A question came in. It says here, um, tell us how important public speaking is in relationships, and how it can improve our lives, and how it improved your life.
Okay, it sounds like a three questions. So
Yeah.
let's start off with the first part.
Okay.
Can you give me the first part again?
Okay. So let me see it again. Um, okay. How important public relation is in relationships. That's the first part.
Okay, the public relations is so important, because like you and I talked about, Dr. J, we got to know each other.
Wait a minute.
But
Hold on. I don't have my glasses on. It's not public relations. It's public speaking.
okay, because I was going to say, you said public relations, I'm going with the public relations. Now, how is public speaking important in relationships?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay, public speaking is important in relationships, because that's one of the foundations of building your confidence up. When you are in the public speaking realm, that is where you're going to have some of your biggest aha moments. I tell anybody, one of the lessons I would tell you is to go to the mirror and start practicing. Most of the fears, one of the number one fears, is people don't want to speak.
Yeah.
So to overcome some of that is getting to a mirror and talk to yourself.
Okay.
And whatever that's important to you, because that's going to build your mental muscles, but also it's going to teach you how to overcome some of those fears, which is speaking.
Okay. And I guess as far as relationships are concerned, when you think about it, if you can overcome that fear of public speaking, so to speak, then you can really overcome the fear of meeting new people and forming relationships. Actually, getting over shyness, in a way.
Absolutely. And so that goes back to that mirror piece. But see, a lot of times, if you just start having a conversation, having an eye contact, and work on those things. The two things that are important when you're speaking is having great eye contact to connect with your audience,
Yeah.
and also let them know that you are not afraid to share your story.
Yeah.
Have that powerful energy when you connect with them. Even you may stumble over a few words, you do not have to say, "Excuse me." They already know you did it. So
I
go
see.
on and keep the flow going. A lot of times, most speakers will tell you they do get nervous in the beginning.
Oh, wait a minute now. Not only in the beginning, uh, I get nervous now. Unless
Yeah,
I'm speaking in to an audience, if unless I'm really familiar with the people. But if
yeah,
it's if I don't know the people or I'm not familiar, it's like, oh yeah, I still get
yes.
nervous. Yeah,
Well, what I normally do, and I think some people can probably relate to this. When I am doing a speech, I always arrive there early, but I always try to go in and get to know them a little bit.
yeah.
So when I get on stage and I make that eye contact with them, it's more natural and it's more inviting because you've already made that connections prior to you getting on that stage.
Okay, all righty. So, Belisa, look, now you have made me aware of my souls. Although, Belisa, I I should write it, put a little notch every time I say it. But anyway, I'm going to take a quick commercial, and when we come back, I want to talk with you about your coaching, and I want to talk to you about core power and exactly what you mean by core power. Okay? All righty. So, oh God, I said it again. We will be right back. Don't go anywhere. And I'm going to try not to say so.
For the whole month of October, we talked about believing. And we need to believe to the end of this year so we can do what we need to do next year. So catch the finale on Friday and Sunday.
Well, we are back with Valessa L. Taylor, certified trauma and resilience expert. So, Valessa, now we talked about the public speaking and we talked about your career in the service.
Mhm.
How did you become and why did you become a trauma and resilience expert?
That is a very good question. It's through my life experiences. My mother was a parent of schizophrenic, and I grew up that way. And although she was that, she it didn't allow her to not become successful because she was a majored in business and she did hair on the side. But unfortunately, it took a toll on her because she didn't feel worthy of who she was or is. And she's no longer with me, but I carry her in my heart daily.
Okay. And so that's how you became trauma and resilience coach. Now,
Well,
and you became certified.
mhm.
Okay. All right.
Well, the reason why I wanted to say about the how did I become a trauma and resilience coach, but I had to take you back
Yeah.
to where
It
it
was your
began with
journey.
my mother.
Yeah.
And then I end up marrying my husband, which would suffer from a depression as well. And he was diagnosed he was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as well. So it
Oh,
ended up being a circle. Now,
yeah.
how did I overcome all that?
Yeah.
I had to go to my core.
Okay.
And that's what's important for us to realize when you have suffered from traumatic experiences in your life, then that becomes your testimony for so many others.
Okay. Yeah.
So when I said to myself, who am I? I am a person of resilience. I served my country, and now I am going to take that torch and run with it because trauma, I can tell you all about it, and I can tell you about resilience because I had a grandmother that was no nonsense and she was an entrepreneur as well. So I had two women of different eras in their life, but they were able to show me the way. One side was trauma, resilience, and then looking at me now, I'm a third generation widow.
Wait, wait, wait. You said third generation widow?
Yes, my mother lost her husband, my grandmother lost her husband, I lost my husband. So I am a
Oh,
third generation widow,
okay. Oh my
which
goodness.
all that goes into resilience. So how am I going to deal with all of that? Well, the first thing I did was I looked myself in the mirror and I knew that I had some things that was troubling my heart. And I
Uh-huh.
went to pen to paper and I wrote my journey of my story of
Okay.
Rape the Silencer. Now, I wanted to get more educated about trauma and resilience. So I end up becoming the expert of it. Number one is my life experiences, but I went to Florida State University and got my certification.
Okay.
That was easy for me to get that certification because a lot of those trainings and everything that I received, it really taught me what I had gone through. So getting that certification, it allowed me to have comfort within my soul,
Okay.
and it made me feel better. And I've always served. I served 22 years in the United States Air Force. How do I want to serve again? Well, I want to serve by sharing my story to the world of resiliency and how you can overcome that trauma,
Okay.
which I had I that was 33 years of having that trauma. So I had to release it.
Okay. Now, explain to us what you mean by your core.
Okay, look at your right above your belly button. That's the core area.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say, go back to that area. That's where your strength is.
Okay.
It's an analogy, but also it goes into your thinking process, going into your core, loving yourself from the inside out. Well, how are you going to do that? You're going to have that core power to do that. Let
Okay.
go of anything that you feel that you're not worthy of.
Okay.
And so then you start one step at a time, journaling out your thoughts, putting it out there. A lot of times we don't like to go to the doctor, but I believe you can have a holistic approach to healing. And
Okay.
that holistic approach can be journaling. Journaling is so important because now you're connecting to your core on your thoughts out loud and putting pen to paper.
Okay. All right. So, so now when you're doing your coaching,
Hmm.
do you do group coaching, one-on-one coaching? How do
I
you?
do. It just depends on what they want. Now,
Okay.
with my one-on-one coaching, what I would do is I would do what we call an intake sheet,
Mhm.
and to see if we are a good fit. Because a lot of times we need to know if we're a good fit or not
Yeah.
prior to me taking on being their coach. And then I add the numbers up, and we'll see if we're a good fit. But
Mhm.
even though we may not be a good fit, I'm still want them to know that I am going to encourage them on
Mhm.
certain areas of what I saw on that checklist.
Okay.
Now, I also give them at least an hour still because I value their time.
Yeah.
And what I do is from the checklist, I pull out some key pain points that they might not even know that they may be suffering from. And we go over that into a point where they're comfortable at.
Okay.
Now, with the group coaching, I love that because I am a person that shares my story. I'm very transparent. I tell them I learned everything from life experiences. And here's what I'm going to share with you. I have been through XYZ on my journey, but it did not allow it to stop me. And I share some of my stories, and I know mostly all of them because they've sent me in their pictures, their bios, and then they really want to connect to the core and talk about things what they're going through. But what I do in my coaching is I pair them up with people that have similar stories,
Okay.
because once you do that and they're in the room, then they can relate. Nothing worse than being in a room where nobody can relate to you and you're
Yeah.
sticking out like a sore thumb, so to speak.
Mhm.
So with some of the group coaching, it's good to have some people that have been through some stuff, but then I still sprinkle a little bit of something a little different with somebody that may not have gone through that,
Okay.
because it's good to have a variation of different situations or circumstances that they have gone through.
Okay. All right. So in your coaching, what do you see that is most common
What I see is most common
as far
is
as, I mean, as far as their trauma, or what, why they're coming to you?
the reason why I believe that they're coming to me, because I believe that they can relate to me. But
Right.
also the important thing is that most people do is suffer in silence.
Okay.
A lot of them have are in relationships, and to the point where they're in a relationship, but their past comes to the forefront.
Okay.
And whether it be their husband, their spouse, they start going back to their past and putting that forward, bringing that forward.
Okay.
And so I tell them when we are in when we are doing the coaching, I said you have to forgive yourself first. Forgiving yourself. That's one of the most powerful things you can ever do is forgive yourself. I tell them that it's not your fault, and I embrace them with love.
Okay.
Because a lot of times in relationships, people don't want to be judged. They just want you to literally be like a giant ear to listen. But I do much more than that. I give them tools that
Okay.
they can utilize on their daily walk of what they want to do, whether it be journaling, whether it be listen to some meditation, or just want to just have their time in a room and just speak powerful affirmations.
Okay.
And some are spiritual as well. So I can talk to them on different levels, but I do let them know that they're here to not be judged. They're here to get the support and love that they need. And that's why I'm there to help them, because I've been there. And like I said, I have life experiences.
Okay. So I'm going to ask you this. There's my soul. I'm going to ask you this. uh, what's the worst case that you've seen?
Well, I tell them right out front that I'm not a therapist.
Okay.
So I let them know
Okay.
right up front. That's the disclaimer. I'm not a therapist. But one of my worst cases was I found a young lady very defensive when I would ask her questions.
Okay. But she
Because what
came
I
to you for help.
yeah, she
But
came to me for help, but she was very defensive. And you know, to be honest with you, a lot of times people are defensive because they know that you're going to take them there, and
oh,
they know it's going to be uncomfortable for them.
okay.
So they put up a wall and they give you some attitude. But what really they're looking for is someone to really help them. But you just have to be a little bit more patient with some of them.
Yeah.
So one of the challenges is dealing with individuals. They already have an attitude walking through the door. They need the help, but they just need someone just to guide them further through the journey. And that's why I don't mind helping anyone that's defensive to me, because that shows me the range of how I can help. If you're
Okay.
defensive, then how can I use my military techniques, psychiatry, psychology? I had all of that when I was an instructor. How
Okay.
can I use those skill sets to bring something out of them that they truly need to hear? Well, I tell them that they are beautiful. I give them love. I hold them and let them know everything is going to be okay.
Okay.
Normally, when I do that, they start to cry. And I tell them, you are loved, you are appreciated, and I got your back. I'm
Okay.
so glad you're here. And I let them know that because I told them it is courage to walk through their door.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And I tell them I am so proud that you took that first step. Although it's just a baby step, that's the first leap of faith that carries you further throughout your journey and your walk in life.
Okay. Now, I know we talked about the core, your core, what your core is. And now, uh, some of the people, some of your clients that come to you, I know you also touch on mental illness.
Hmm.
When someone comes to you and you see that it's trauma and they're having issues or whatever with it, but what happens when you see that this has really translated into mental illness, so to speak?
Okay, that goes back to that disclaimer because
Okay.
that's the intake piece. So
Okay.
if you have been clinically diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, bipolar, I cannot help
Right.
you. I
Right.
am only strictly on a holistic approach,
Okay.
and I do not want them to confuse a therapist with a
Yeah,
coach.
a coach. Yeah, it is two different things. Now, when you say holistic, do you go? A lot of people, when they hear holistic, and by the way, Renita Dixon says love is always the answer.
You tell her yes. Tell her yes. Yes.
And Maxine Walker says excellent. What you were saying is excellent.
Thank
So
you.
when we talk about holistic, a lot of people, when they hear the word holistic, they're thinking the whole person, including diet, include food or whatever. So when you when you Uh, Renita, Renita is part of my Toastmasters class. Are you counting my souls? Are you the our grammarian tonight? But anyway, and anyway, uh, so when we talk about holistic, do you go into that as far as is maybe their habits, their diets are contributing to their trauma or not being able to work through their trauma?
Oh, that's a great question. So this is where I go into holistic approach to self-care. That's just what it
Okay,
is. So when I say go core, mind, body, soul,
okay,
that's my
okay,
business.
okay,
So it's not only my business, but it is how I became resilient on my journey. So now I incorporated the holistic, but it's the self-care approach to who I am. Be
okay,
you, be relentless is my tagline. But how did I do that? I went to go core,
okay,
mind, body, soul,
okay,
which is turned into be my LLC.
okay.
The beauty thing about it, it was faith that got me there. I
All
tell anybody, faith is what really opened my door, opened my eyes wide to be able to come, to be able to become who I am. And for the listeners out there, I want you to start journaling
right.
because
Okay,
that is so powerful when you put your thoughts on paper and consistently do that. You're on your way to self-care, and it is a holistic approach to your journey to become better than your yesterday.
okay. Now you said resilience. Another question came
Hmm.
in. It says, at a time in this world when it
Hmm.
seems that many people cannot handle the smallest of life's challenges,
Hmm.
what advice would you give them?
Again, I would say now, some people, whoever you believe in, I should say that.
Okay,
My faith, my Heavenly Father is who I am today. So, what I would tell anybody, I love faith because faith is so wonderful. It would teach you how to become better, keep going, climbing those mountains. And faith is so brilliant because it allows you to understand how your past does not have to be your future
okay,
and to keep going.
okay.
And it's going to the core of who you are.
All right. Now, Renita has a question here. She asks, has your work with people led to their healing chronic disease because they've healed their emotional issues?
Well, I haven't tell her that's a great question. I
Okay,
never thought of it that way,
okay,
but I'm pretty sure it is tapping into all of that. So
okay,
that's a wonderful question. I didn't even think of it like that. But
okay,
she's on to something right there. That's powerful. Tell her that's
okay.
powerful.
All
And
right.
that's
Well, yeah,
some
she can hear. She can
oh,
hear
she can?
and see.
Okay. Well,
But no,
girl,
she
that's
can hear
powerful
and
there.
see you.
Yes, that's powerful. Powerful. I love the question.
And Maxine Walker says, I'm mentally trying hard to control myself about my physical health. So what advice would you give her?
She's trying to control herself about her
She
what
says
health?
I'm mentally trying hard to control myself about my physical health.
Okay. Physical health. I see this is so powerful. This is a great question. What's her name?
That was Maxine Walker.
Okay, Maxine. Maxine, girl, let me tell you something. You can go get a pen, you can go to get some paper. I'm gonna give you this what you need to do. Start journaling out some things that you want to no longer do and replace that with some things that you know you can do. For one thing that you can do, you can go outside and take a nice long walk.
Okay.
And you also can hydrate and drink plenty of water as you do that. The beauty thing about doing that is you putting yourself on a routine schedule. If you walk daily a mile or two and you drink water, that's hydrating yourself. That's going to make you feel even better. But you got to consistently do it on a daily basis. Now it's going to go into, okay, once I do that, now what do I want to eat that can be helpful for me? And then you start writing down the things that you're eating, those habits. I know a lot of times I love seafood, girl, and I love the butter. So you know what? I got to take away what? The foods that are now healthy and replace it with more of the vegetables, the carbs, and the vegetables, everything that we need that's going to replenish us and make us feel better. But once you tap into your core, girlfriend, you on to something. Baby steps is what I tell people. It takes baby steps. And that little bit, what I just gave you, I called it a little bit. That's you on your beginning stages of doing something consistently that can help you.
And then keeping a positive frame of mind. Because I read something and it says you don't focus on what you don't want, you focus on what you do want, you
Exactly.
know.
Mhm.
And uh, let's see, License for Love podcast says, "Good evening, beautiful people. Good evening, good evening, License for Love podcast." And Renita Dixon is so wonderful. When I said I'm using my souls and what she counted, she says, "No, you're doing a good job doing it." Oh, I'm doing a good job counting counting myself.
Oh, well, I know all about that too. Trust me.
I'm doing a good job of doing of counting my
Oh,
souls myself. But Lisa, we only
yes.
have a couple of minutes.
Okay.
What do you want to leave my audience with?
Okay. I want you to know that you are loved and you are appreciated. And just because you may have had a bad day today, there's always tomorrow. Tap into your core, that core power, because you are good enough and you need to understand that faith opens your door. And another thing, you can reach me at Team V.
Hold on, honey. Wait a minute. I got it. Wait just a minute. Okay, hopefully this is the one you're talking about. Can you see it? It says, it's your website. It says gocoremindbodysoul.com. Is that where you want
Yeah,
them to visit?
gocoremindbodysoul.com.
Yes.
But also they can personally email me directly.
Okay, so hold on. Let me put that. Give me your email and I'll put that on there.
Okay, Team V.
Team
Yeah, Team V
Team V
at
at
ValisaLTaylor.com.
ValisaLTaylor.com. Okay, so let's put that on there also. Is that right?
Let me see.
Team V at ValisaTaylor.com.
ValisaLTaylor.com. Yes,
ValisaLTaylor.com.
that's right.
And they can go to your website and
Mhm.
find more about you and hear your speech.
Yes,
And all the people who have heard you speak
yes,
have given you just great, wonderful testimonies.
absolutely.
So I want to really thank you for being my guest. And you know what? I have all these blank journals.
You're going to pick them up now, at least one now, Dr. J. Pick up one.
Uh, okay, wait a minute. Okay. I think it might be a page,
Okay.
but you have encouraged me to
Oh, well, thank
really
you.
start journaling. To
I
really start.
appreciate that. That means a lot.
So I'm so happy that I met you in Houston. As a matter of fact, we were roommates.
Yes, we were.
We were, that's how I got to know you.
Yes.
And uh, and thank you so much for being a guest. You have given us so much value,
Thank you.
and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all. I
And,
love y'all.
I love you. And we are going to continue our relationship.
Thank you. It means
Okay.
a lot, Dr. J. It means a lot. I can use some powerhouse women on my team and on your team too, I'm sure. I love it. I love it. Thank
Well,
you.
thank
Thank
you
you.
so much. You have a beautiful, blessed rest of, you're in Dallas, so rest of your evening.
Thank you.
This has been so great with Valessa. We had such a good time in Houston. Um, but whatever happens in Houston stays in Houston. So I can't really tell you everything. But but she's an amazing, amazing young lady. And really go to her website, get in contact with her. If you know of anyone who you feel that needs her, if you don't feel that you need her, but I'm sure you know someone who does need her, get in contact with her, give them their contact information. In the meantime, remember, relationships. There are all kinds of relationships, and relationships do matter. And there are all kinds of relationship matters. So I will see, there's myself, maybe about 14, 15. I will see you again next week on Relationship Matters TV. Bye bye.